The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Frightmares Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for episode 358 is my good friend, Michael Vyers. How we doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh, I should probably
for your clips.
Maybe hit record on StreamYard. That might help.
And now you didn't get the clip of me dancing.
How do you fucking hit record? I don't want to leave. Oh, there it is. It's a blue button in the corner. That's so dumb. Why is it? I saw the red one down here.
Well, you think red would mean stop?
Oh, true. Okay. Or maybe
I feel like maybe a green button. Let's meet in the middle.
Anyways, today on another installment of Hauntuary Manor, we're discussing The Nesting from 1981, where the third act reveal is more complex than the Pythagorean theorem. It is a doozy. Let me tell you about that. So let's see where this one lands on the Nightmare Index. Of course, we only have one on there now, The Haunting. So this is going to fall probably below. I don't think this is going to be above The Haunting. Because as much as I loved this movie, there are some major flaws with the third act that we will obviously get into later in the review. So, yeah, this was a movie. I forgot to say this on The Haunting because I had so much stuff to set up, as that was the first episode of the year. Much like The Haunting, I had never seen this. I had never heard of this, and this is our deep cut of the month because it's not like it's a deep cut because I haven't heard of it, but when I looked up the ratings, I was like, there's not a lot of ratings. The IMDb is, there's not a lot of famous people in this whatsoever. So it was like, I'm going to use this. Plus, Vinegar Syndrome released it, and that qualifies as a deep cut for me. And you hadn't even heard of this movie. So.
No, like, I feel like maybe it's because when I saw the cover, I'm like, okay, I feel like I've fucking seen that cover somewhere.
Right.
But no, it's not like when you're like, oh, we're doing The Nesting. I'm like, yes, The Nesting.
Right. And
I also was like really shocked that it was a ghost story, not about birds. I forgot this was Haunted House month. I was like, are you moving the monsters already?
We're moving
birds.
We're moving to Animals Attack in August already. Yeah,
I thought it was gonna be like Q the Winged Serpent or something.
Oh man, that's a good one. I have totally forgotten about until you mentioned. So yeah, this is definitely a haunted house story, and it's actually kind of funny because much like The Haunting, where the house only killed women, this house only kills men, and that's fucking hilarious to me because I didn't expect it's perfect. It is so perfect. And we will get into that very shortly, but let's roll into the cold open here. Okay, so this is where we're going to talk about what we've recently watched. I'll kick it over to you. Anything, it doesn't have to necessarily be horror, bonus points for horror, but what have you been watching? Anything good lately?
So do you want me just to start just to count the new year, or how far do you want me to go back?
Count the new year. Yeah, let's just what so far this year. Yeah.
Okay, so it's been a little bit of a slow start. Like beginning of the year is always exciting. Like, oh, we get new letterbox stats, but you don't get it until you've watched 10 films. So then you're like, you don't get it until you've watched at least 10 films. So like I'm at like 6. I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna be yet. So the only quote unquote horror thing that I've watched besides The Nesting was Stranger Things. We powered through that, and the finale, and we've already talked about it. I have my qualm. I have my some issues with it, but I've never been a person where this logically doesn't make sense, so I can't enjoy it.
Right.
I one time had a screenwriting friend of mine who taught me a lot about screenwriting, who told me one time that he's like, logic can kill your movie. And he's not saying you should make illogical movies. What he's saying to me is that if you overthink things just to make everything fit, like make sense, you can sometimes hurt the flow of your narrative. Now, if things are too illogical, the same thing can happen. But I get the sentiment that he's saying, you know, because like I was writing a scene. I don't even remember what it was about, but I was like, well, that wouldn't happen. And he goes, but does it happening propel your story?
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I get what you're saying. So I think there's a balancing act. Like we're not going to talk too much about Stranger Things, but like the fact that there's so many people online who wanted this secret 9th episode is like, how is that going to make anything better? How is that going to make it better? Because like people were complaining that Vecna died too easily. I'm like, well, I'm kind of glad because sometimes those 30 to 40 minute Marvel fights just annoy the shit out of me.
Mhm.
Like there's no build up, like not no build up, but like it's just I don't care. I don't like give me something a little more mindful and concise. And then people were like, my favorite is like people like, why did the Abyss not have any demodogs or demogorgons? And I think someone asked the Duffer Brothers the same question, and they were like, well, you know, Vecna wasn't expecting people to breach his hidden fucking world,
Right.
and so they're like, they're probably around there somewhere.
Yeah.
So they didn't care. It's not that big of a deal.
I said when Gabby and I talked about our thoughts last episode, I said that about the Demobats. It was like they introduced them just to kill Eddie, and then they were gone. And I was like, I mean, I don't care. I just thought it was funny. Like they introduced these new things, and then they're just kind of gone. But yeah, he's got.
I had a friend at work who was like, she didn't believe that there was going to be another episode, but she got really into the conspiracy theories behind it. She's like, there's all these inconsistencies. Like the switch that Robin uses is a one color in another in the first time it's introduced, and then it's a different color in another scene. And those type of things would get fixed in post-production. I was like, well, let me tell you how much stuff does not get fixed in post-production because simply there's not enough time. People forget. There is an iconic scene, and anyone out there listening, go watch this. Go watch this. If you've never seen the James Cameron film, The Abyss, there's a scene that is still in the movie.
I know what you're talking about. I'm so excited.
Wipes off the fucking frame.
Yes.
And they kept it in. So, you know, shit happens.
I think that was my actual review for The Abyss. It had something to do with the camera being on screen, and I was like, hello? Let me see. I reviewed it.
It's damn meta, Austin. It's a literal camera wipe.
Yeah, I said in my review, someone really wiped down the camera lids mid-scene. That was my review.
So,
yeah,
for everyone out there who is like, oh, this type of stuff, this is a multi-million-dollar property, this wouldn't happen. You know, sometimes I'm sure the discrepancy of color with the fucking switch that Robin used, they probably had to quickly shoot it, and they just used it with everyone they had near them. Like, filming is chaotic, and even if they had a lot of fucking money and a lot of fucking time, there's still never enough money, and there's never enough time.
I had problems with continuity in my 10-minute short film that I'm editing right now. I couldn't imagine an episodic television series. Like, there's no way. So
yeah, especially because they're not shooting this shit in order.
Of course not. No. Of course not.
They're probably like jumping between the first episode and the final episode, and probably not that extreme, but you know
they're jumping around. So
yeah,
okay.
they probably shot all the stuff in the Squawk at the same time. Like, it's get over it.
Yeah, you got to shoot by location. So,
anyways, that's the only horror thing that I've watched, and then I'll just rapid fire the other things I watched.
Sweet.
I watched Song Sung Blue, the new Hugh Jackman film. It is a delightful film. It is also very sad, and it made me very emotional. I'm gonna put Hugh Jackman under fire just a tiny bit, because this movie, Austin, you might not have known this movie takes place in the beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where you will be visiting. You and Hugh Jackman both get to experience Milwaukee. Hugh Jackman said at our local news station TMJ4 that he said, we feel we love this story about these folk heroes, Lightning and Thunder, Mike and Claire, but it's also a love letter to this town. He never stepped foot in this town until that fucking premiere they shot in New Jersey. Fuck you, Hugh Jackman. I love you, but no.
Putting Hugh Jackman on blast. I love it.
I am. I love you, Hugh Jackman, and I'd be happy to hash this out with you. Come on one of our podcasts. We'll have an amazing dialogue. We could talk about your favorite cheeses. What your favorite cheeses that you experienced here in Wisconsin. Watched Oppenheimer. Didn't love it.
Okay.
Watched Hitman. Thought that was a fun time. And I watched the animated film Flow, which was a delightful movie about a cat.
Yeah, the animated Oscar winner of last year, right?
Yeah, that movie was just delightful.
Okay. A couple of things I've watched here. I watched a movie sent over to me by AV Entertainment called The Shepherd from 2021. It is, wow, that is not the right movie that I logged. That's good. That's good. That. All right, that's not the right Shepherd. Stand by while I find the correct one. All right, that's going to be very strange when I have to... there it is, 2020. Oh, it's just, sorry, it is just Shepherd, not The Shepherd. It is very Lighthouse coded from 2019, but there's no Willem Dafoe asking about, if you're fond of his lobster. It's just him and his dog. He goes out there to be a literal shepherd. I didn't think the movie would be so, the title would be so literal. He is tending sheep out there on this island, and
so goddamn literal.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I thought it was a metaphor, but it is another movie about grief and trauma, which I do feel is very overplayed. But when done right, like this movie was, it had a third act. You learn a little bit more about what happened, and then you get the final reveal, and then the ending's ambiguous. I really enjoyed it, and it's not because I'm getting free movies, or I'm not even getting paid to do this. I reviewed Mutilator 2, which was I did not like. I'm not afraid to give my real opinions on movies, but it was it was a good time. I really enjoyed that one. It's actually available on Prime. You can watch it on Prime. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a good time. And then not horror, but I did find, so I've seen Grumpy Old Men. Love that movie. It's such a great movie, but
timeless classic.
Yeah, I'd never seen Grumpier Old Men, which was almost funnier than the first one. But
my god, the second one is so goddamn funny.
I think it's a little bit funnier than the first one, but I just like the cold setting of the first one, and I like how they kind of come together after they have that scare, and but yeah, great time. Grumpy Old Men 4 stars, Grumpier Old Men 3.5, and then I finally.
So what you're saying though is I have both Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men on VHS, and there's going to be a tube TV and a VCR in your bedroom, Austin. You can watch it as much as you want while you're visiting.
Okay, I love it. I'm so here for it. Watch the cold one in a cold setting, and then for my first week of the Cult Movie Challenge, because when we recorded The Haunting, it was like the 2nd of January, so it was like the end of the week. I watched something called Vampire Hunter D. It is anime week. I don't know. I should probably say I'm not huge on anime. It's just really not my thing. It's very over the top and just kind of intensely stylized. It's just not my thing, and I tried to put that aside. But not
everything's for everyone.
Well, I realize that it's very difficult to engage with a film when the aesthetic itself is something that I actively dislike. It's very hard to push past that. I can see the appeal for anime fans, and I'm clearly in the minority, as this has a 3.4 out of 5. I gave it a 2.5. I would probably watch the sequel and see if I like that, but anime is just not my thing. I believe Jason watched the same movie as me. We're trying to kind of sync up on some of our Cult Movie Challenge watches. If you'd like to check it out, you can search Cult Movie Challenge on Letterboxd, and they have the whole list of, it's just like Hooptober, but Jason did watch this, 3.5 stars. And so he obviously liked it more than I did. He said, horror, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, gothic western jammed into a single cartoon. It should fall off the rails, but stays clean and tidy for the most part. Annie's 80s anime stock sound effects always make me laugh. And it was just unabashedly horny, I should also mention. Holy cow. Wasn't expecting that.
Can I tell a funny aside real quick?
Sure.
So I first discovered this movie at a much younger age, and I should have seen it. Because especially, I just equated, I was young. I was single digits, probably.
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah. I mean, because it's from 1985, I should probably say. This is 40-year-old movie.
I love the look of 80s anime. It just has a fucking unique vibe to it.
It does.
But I always used to equate, if it was cartoon, it's kids.
Of course.
It's like I was going through, HBO or whatever we had as a kid, and I saw a cartoon, and I was like, oh, this is a weird looking cartoon. This looks fun. And it's like, it kind of looks like Dragon Ball.
Yeah, sure.
And I watched that movie all the way through at a very young age and had quite the awakening.
Yeah.
It's always really stuck with me, though. Like, that's the weird thing. I haven't rewatched it since then. I own it on VHS and DVD. I've not rewatched it in a very long time, probably since I first bought the DVD. But then I had another experience with another movie that is equally horny and probably a little bit and quite a bit more assaulty, which is difficult to watch, called Ninja Scroll. And I saw both of those at the wrong time. And I had a crash course of realizing that, man, just because it's a cartoon doesn't mean it's for me.
Yeah, I didn't realize until I was looking at IMDb. I was like, oh, this is an adult anime, because there's a lot of upskirt shots of women. There's full nude women. I was, okay, I didn't realize what I was signing up for. So that is Vampire Hunter D. It was on Shudder if you'd like to check it out. Let's say we do this body count. Just a fun new name for the IMDb roundup, still the same thing. Nice. This is The Nesting from 1981, released on May 1st of that year in the US. Rated R, but it's really only rated R for the nudity, I assume, because it's very tame. We have mild sex and nudity, moderate violence and gore, mild profanity, mild alcohol, drugs, and smoking, moderate frightening and intense scenes. So, fun fact about this movie. It is an hour and 43 minutes, but the Vinegar Syndrome release, which I bought specifically to watch for this movie, or for this podcast rather, has the phobia cut at an hour and 49, and there's actually two kind of key scenes with the psychologist, therapist, whatever she's talking to, that go into a little bit more depth about things that are missing from this cut. So I don't know where else. I think Vinegar Syndrome's the only way to watch the phobia cut, but I could be mistaken. Listed as
I might actually need to buy this movie now. Damn it!
The 4K is gorgeous. So even for just,
I bet. Yeah. Let me tell you, the version I watched on YouTube was not
great. This is listed as a horror mystery thriller directed by Armand West, who has only directed adult films. This is his only stab at a real, feature-length film, written by Daria Price, who also wrote something called Dawn of the Mummy from 1981, and again, written by Armand West, who is writing these adult flicks, composed by Jack Malkin, who has one other credit for The Taking of Christina, which was directed by Armand Weston, so porno, and then this is where things just go completely off the rails, because it's also composed by George Scholes. This was his only composer credit. However, he has 188 musical department credits where he played the cello from 2006 or 5 to 2019 for things like March of the Penguins, Trick or Treat from, the horror one, The Happening, Annabelle, 50 Shades of Grey.
I love when you find weird shit like this on the IMDb.
I'm going through this. I'm like, nothing is interesting. And then I get to this guy just fucking playing the cello. I mean, these aren't even the highlights. I just picked out movies I knew, and I knew about 90% of them. If you really want a fun time, go look this guy up and go through his movies. I don't think there was a movie I didn't know. He also did Annabelle Creation, Sing, Lights Out, and then the last thing he has a credit for is the Star Wars Episode 9. So I thought that was incredible. Cool cinematographer, though. I believe his name, it's Joao, so Joao Fernandez.
I believe that is a Brazilian name.
Correct.
I think it's Zhao. But I could be incorrect.
Better what I was going to say, so we'll say that. So Joao Fernandez, he did the cinematography for The Prowler, Children of the Corn, and then Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which is really cool. Edited by someone called Tomiko, who is a lady and is credited for something called the Redeemer Son of Satan, but she is credited as Jack Foster. So I don't know.
Redeemer Son of Satan is a wild movie.
It's from 1978. I'm going to check it out. It's on my list because it just sounded wild. Starring Robin Groves as Lauren Cochran. She was also in Silver Bullet as Nan Koslow, sorry. Coleslaw.
I think she was also in Star Trek, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. Christopher Loomis as Mark Felton. He has 8 other credits for things. Michael David Lally as Daniel Griffith, who was also in, I love this, Basic Instinct as detective. And then John Carradine as Colonel LeBrun, who has over 350 credits, but he was also in another movie that you and I and Amanda did, The Howling, as Earl Kenton. Estimated budget of NA, worldwide box office gross of NA, filmed at the Armoire Steiner House in Irvington, New York, USA. You can watch this on YouTube for free. The quality is not great, but you can also rent it on Amazon for $1.99 or Apple TV for $3.99. I'm assuming one is standard definition and one is HD, or else I fucking hope so, because that's a wild price difference. Movies that came out around the same time, I am looking this up as we speak on IMDb. So we have, give me a second. Oh, we have Night Riders, the George Romero.
I love Night Riders.
Fucking gem. We've got Nighthawk, Savage Harvest. We have The Hand, Miss 45, Bloody Birthday, Graduation Day, Friday the 13th.
Good year.
Yeah, good year. Friday the 13th, Part 2. Jackie Kong, right? The Being, is it Jackie Kong? Yes, Jackie Kong.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, she did Blood Diner. The Being, we've got The Burning, we've got
all the thoughts.
Everything. Dead and Buried. I mean, we've got so many good things that came out around the same time. Nice Dreams. Is that Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams? Yep, Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams. It was a great fucking year. IMDb summary: a writer suffering from agoraphobia rents an isolated house so she can concentrate on her writing. She doesn't know that the house is a former brothel and is inhabited by the ghosts of dead prostitutes. So let's get into the autopsy. All right, Michael. Overall thoughts on The Nesting. Hit me with what you've got.
Gross sound.
I know, wasn't it? I love it. It's fucking bloody and icky. What do you got?
Overall thoughts on The Nesting. Man, I really wanted to like this movie because it's set up in a way that I'm a firm believer in that sometimes you're just not in the right headspace to watch a movie, or at least to watch that movie. Because it has everything that I find fascinating in a film. Like I love a movie about an author, even though she spends really no time writing. I love a movie about a big creepy house, especially one that's weirdly shaped. Like this is like
it's an octagon. It's an octagon. Yeah, literally, yeah. It's an octagon,
which is dope. I love a movie about hitting ghosts. And I love a movie that just got this small regional charm. Like I love like some little things like when they went to Abner's house, and it just looks like they just used someone's house. Like nothing in this movie felt set decorated. It feels like they just found it as is and used it, and I fucking love that. Or maybe they just have a really talented set decorator. I don't know. That's the illusion of movies, people. You don't know.
You never know.
My biggest complaint with the film though is the pacing. Just I watched the shorter cut, which is like an hour and 43, something like that, hour 40. Man, at one point I got to a certain point in the film. I was like, okay, this has to be wrapping up, and I was maybe like 35 minutes in. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's never good.
So I didn't love the film because the pacing kind of kept me at arm's length, but I feel like this is a movie I'm going to return to because there's just enough interesting stuff that's keeping me going. And it kind of reminded me of Let's Scare Jessica to Death, which I do love.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of reminded me of Travis Stevens' film, newer film, The Girl on the Third Floor. And I'm curious if he had seen this.
Okay. So. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I saw that one when it came out. So I can't really, my memory is failing me, but I remember enjoying that one. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm right there with you with my overall thoughts. I really like the setup of this movie. There's a lot of just fun camera work. That's a fun location. I think the actress, Robin Groves is an incredibly talented actress, and everyone else in the movie, I feel, is incredibly strong. I mean, you've got that one, I think his name was the guy that chased her in the car. He wasn't the strongest, but he had a very minor role, and I just didn't really care. But it's that third act for me when they explain everything that you're like, oh my God, I almost had to bust out a note. I started writing it down.
It was so long, too.
Too long, too convoluted. It all made sense, kind of, but it was just so muddied. And I was not expecting that at all. I wanted something much simpler and much more fun. So that's my overall thoughts.
Yeah, because like this movie has got the stylistic tropes that we have come to know and understand for the genre, and they're all there. And I also appreciate that it felt like the team behind this was trying to make something a little unique, something a little bit more quote unquote classy and gothic. So I appreciate that. But I feel like the script probably could have used another pass or two. They could have tightened up that ending a little bit, or even maybe got, you have, granted, I don't know how much time they had John Carradine for. He pretty much sat behind a desk the entire time. They probably had him for a day, shot all of his shit in one day.
Yeah.
But like, I would have paid for an extra day for John Carradine. And could we have gotten some more voiceover during that ending sequence to kind of like, because if they would have had some more voiceover, I don't remember if there was voiceover. That's how little, like, there was so much going on that I was like, you had to practically get a notepad or zone out. Like, I feel like they could have covered a lot more ground if they would have had a little bit of exposition in that bitch.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because I feel the way the movie was set up was incredibly strong, at least in my opinion. You have the guys showing up at the brothel. I mean, if you read the description, you know what's happening, but the guys show up at the brothel.
I didn't read the description. I just hit play.
Oh, I love it. Okay, even better. So I at least knew the description, but it still doesn't give you away a lot, because this happens in the very opening scene where they pull up, shoot up this brothel. The title card comes up.
Which is very interesting way to begin the film. Like, you just see the outside of the house, the car pulls up. It was a little tough on the YouTube stream because it was the blacks were really crushed. But I'm sure on that 4K it looked phenomenal. Place gets shot up, the nesting, like, you're like, okay, that's how you fucking begin a movie.
Yeah, and then even when you're introduced to Lauren, you get the sense immediately, because I think it does say she has agoraphobia in the description, but she's trying to just leave her apartment. She goes down, she's very anxious, she goes downstairs, and the way they shot this too specifically really gave me a sense of anxiety, because they're filming her very tight, almost not like a super close-up, but her face is filling most of the frame when they're filming her, and then they flip it around to her POV, and it's just this wide, disorienting shot of her kind of going down the street in New York and trying to get a cab, not getting in, and then going back upstairs, and she's sweating. And I'm like, okay. You have this person who's clearly agoraphobic. I don't know what was going on. I don't know the connection here to the shooting, but we'll get there, I'm sure. But
they did a good job of kind of building up that anxiety.
Like immediately too. I was like, oh my God, we're 5 minutes into this and I'm already anxious. And the two scenes that I at least noticed a difference on, it wasn't 6 minutes difference, but I know these two scenes talking to her therapist are extended in the cut that I have, because there's one thing she says specifically, the second time that they're talking, when she says, I have been trying for years to remember who my mother is and whatever it is she did to me, and I just can't. So I was assuming some sort of repressed traumatic event happened between her and her mom. Not that her mom died and then, the grandfather, or the grandfather gave away the kid to an orphanage. That it didn't make the movie more cohesive for me, because it's not in the cut that the other cut, the 1 hour 43 minute cut. So I was anticipating an entirely different story arc with, okay, we're going to find out what happened to her as a kid, and you do. But the connection really, I was like, well, your mother didn't do anything. She died. There was nothing that she did to you, and that's what I was expecting. So
yeah, it's not like something like, because another movie that this reminded me of was The Changeling with George C. Scott.
Yep.
But with The Changeling, while George C. Scott is not directly involved in the incidents that are happening, like he's involved because he's living in the house. It's not like connected to him. He's just helping discover it. Like, there is some pretty heinous shit that happened in there. Like, so it makes sense. Like, and then it's not to say that a bunch of people being murdered isn't heinous. It just, the way that the character talked about her mother and then the events that actually happened, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, all right, so nothing really
Not
happened.
really her fault, but
Yeah, she was wrong place, wrong time. So I thought that was a little, like I said, it just gave me expectations of something happening that's entirely different. So obviously Lauren is our main character, and they set it up so quickly, in fact, because by the time they get to the house, and she's, by the way, she's almost cured of her agoraphobia. In the second session, they mentioned, the therapist was like, oh, it's been 6 weeks. You're doing so great, because apparently the cure for agoraphobia is astral projecting, or like whatever that was she was doing when she imagined herself walking downstairs. Was that in your cut? She's like, after the second thing with the therapist, she's like sitting down on the couch and she's listening to this, like, you are calm.
Yes, that was all in there. It might have played out just a touch different, but that whole entire scene, because I remember afterwards she was like, there's like, you are, what was the tape saying? You are calm, you are something. I remember her being like, no, I'm not, and she turns it off.
Yeah, and so, and then you actually see Ferda.
A lot of those cinematography choices were really interesting.
Right. There was a lot of fun stuff cinematically, I thought, especially coming from, obviously the cinematographer had worked on, other things that were good. I'm assuming the director kind of trusted the cinematographer to get what he wanted, because when I don't know how cinematic this man's porn was. I'm not going to go check it out, but
I have to say though, so Zhao, before he moved on to films like The Prowler and Friday the 13th, he was part of the golden age of pornography.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So he was a pornography director, cinematographer.
Oh, wow.
And he actually shot a movie called The Devil and Miss Jones, a movie I haven't seen. But according to Wikipedia, Roger Ebert described as being one of the best entries in the entire genre. So
wow. Okay.
He made pornography, but just because you make pornography does not mean you can't make artful pornography.
Anyone
who has seen Boogie Nights knows that you can make something good. Or at least that was Burt Reynolds' intention in that movie.
So there's definitely some fun choices that I really enjoyed.
Absolutely.
But because they set it up so quick, I figured, all right, we're going to get a lot of time to flesh the story out. And while it does get fleshed out, you are questioning everything that's kind of happening as it's going along. She's seeing things. Is she not? It almost had the same vibe as The Haunting for a bit, because you're like, is the house haunted or is she crazy? Because we've established that she's neurotic, as she's told her therapist. She's agoraphobic. There was cigarettes on the table, and when she went to show Mark, the cigarettes were gone, but the audience saw it too. So I'm like, is she just going to be crazy, or is this house going to actually be haunted? But an hour and 50 minutes with like a 10-minute setup, I think they almost set it up too quickly, because it's just a bit too long. Not enough happens for me.
It needs a little tightening.
It needs a little tightening with a lot of things. But I got excited because I'm like, oh man, we're going to spend so much time with this house. It's going to be spooky. What are we going to get? Jump scares?
Even though like I came into my initial thoughts a little like, there was some really cool shit in that house. Like,
yeah. And
or I should say really cool setups in that house. I don't want to like get to them until we get to them, but there's some really neat shit in that house.
Yeah, I really love the setting and the house itself, because they did shoot it all in that house. That was basic.
Weird shaped. I love a weird shaped house.
Yeah, because it's disorienting for me, because typically I like to know if we're gonna stay at a house for the movie, I like to know my way around. But I don't really necessarily need to know that in this movie, because I think it's meant to be kind of disorienting in that fact, with where you are in this house. But I did enjoy the plot point of Lauren being a writer, even though, like you said, she does very little writing.
Yeah, that's true.
Very little writing, and it's just briefly mentioned in one of her sessions, like, "Oh, are you
my manuscript?"
Oh yeah, you burnt my manuscript with your cigar," and then the therapist was like, do you think you're just anxious about, releasing the new book? But the fun thing I love about the book that she's already written is it's called The Nesting, and it weirdly kind of made it meta in a sense. Not really, but it's like, it's called The Nesting, and the book in the movie is The Nesting. I just thought that was fun. But
I like that too.
But, she had done the book before she got there, and the cover for the book is the exact picture of the house. So I thought she was going to have some psychic connection or something or whatever. And yes, we do find out she was a baby in that house, but that's the only connection really to the house that she has. And she can't remember her dreams. She can't remember what her mother looked like. But it's just bizarre because it's not like she was old enough to have a traumatic response to something that would have been buried deep, like a repressed memory. She was an infant. So that doesn't really make sense to me of how you wouldn't remember your mother. You were a fucking child. So I don't think you would remember. I mean, my first memories probably don't start until I'm like 5 or 6. So of course you don't know what your mother looked like. You were too young. So there's just a lot of plot points in this that don't really make sense. I do like some of the dream sequences though, because they are very strange. And do they actually ever establish what time frame this brothel was like supposed to be from? Because it's giving like, it's like almost not Victorian. I don't know what time period.
I would say based on the cars, I would have to guess like maybe the 40s.
Yeah, like 30s or 40s, because they did say something about getting back from a war. Maybe World War II?
Then yes, that would make more sense. I'd say probably the 40s. So this movie takes place in what? It takes place it came out in 1981, so it was shot in the 70s. So let's just say it takes place in the 70s. So that would be depending on when. So that'd be about 30 years. I'd believe that.
Okay. So yeah, you see all these, it's clearly set up as a brothel. And then that kind of reinforced my thoughts of maybe she is just crazy because she's having visions, but then they just turn out to be dreams. And I'm like, okay, so she's dreaming about real people in this house. I don't know. It was just very confusing. I don't know how you kind of felt about the dream sequences. Some of them were...
I thought they were visually interesting. They weren't engaging enough or they didn't do enough to reinvest me into the picture.
Yeah, because it's a very strange dream. The first one especially, because she's sitting on this kind of like fainting couch, and all of these men are just coming up to her and staring at her, and then walking away, and all of this stuff. And it's just, I don't know. I did like when she called her therapist and was like, "Oh my God, I had a dream that I actually remembered." I wouldn't call that a dream. It seemed more like a nightmare, if you're asking me. But there was some really cool imagery with that dream because Mark, her boyfriend, who I fucking did not like this man. Oh my
God. So I
don't
know if your listeners are going to know who this man is or be familiar with this man, but he talked like fucking Groucho Marx. Where if go watch a clip of Groucho Marx's best like insults or his best deliveries, he kind of says everything like this, and Mark just kept saying everything like there's going to be a punchline, but never quite did.
And he also did a lot of voices too. Almost every time he talked,
it's not like he was doing a Groucho Marx impression through the entire film.
But thank God he was only in maybe 25 minutes before he fucks off, and then
no wonder she doesn't want to be near him. He's annoying.
Yeah, he's very annoying. He's very, very punchable for sure. So there is a really cool sequence though, because I mentioned Mark because he sets up that bead curtain that they find in the closet. And during the dream sequence, she's kind of wrapped in this bead curtain that she breaks free from. And then when she wakes up, she makes eye contact with the bead curtain that falls. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm seeing some kind of connection, some symbolism here. And that does come back in later in the movie. But I was inquisitive about what was going to happen the entire movie, hoping that we would get something good. And then what we get, which I did write it down the best I could, and I'm going to explain it the best I can. It just completely, like, I was at like a 3.5, 4 star. I was like, I'm really enjoying this. And then the pacing was off, and then the ending happened, but we did get a really fun car chase. That was unexpected with some, did you not have that in your cut?
I don't know if I had a car chase.
What? Maybe that was the like 5 extra minutes. There's she goes over to, oh God, that goofy guy that
Abner. I remember the extended chase sequence of Abner following her and trying to assault her. No, on foot.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so in the cut that oh man, I was really excited to so I guess that's where there's another difference.
I should also say, when the Abner thing happened, I just kind of checked out because it just felt like it was happening forever.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have glossed over a car chase, but, weirder things have happened.
Yeah, so in the version that I watched, she hops in the car, flies away, and then he hops in his car and follows her, and they're driving down this dirt road, and he's banging into the car, and she's trying to get away. It was a really fun car chase with an incredible backing synth score, which kind of brought me back into the film. I was like, okay, this is like fun. But then that leads us right into the third act where you get that explanation and you're like, oh God, because it's not even just an explanation from one person. We're getting Lauren see and talk to Florinda, who I guess she can talk. Is Florinda even a ghost at this point? Because she was having an actual conversation with Florinda about things. And then
You've never had conversations with ghosts, Austin? Come on.
I mean, I guess not recently enough that I would remember, because goodness. And then you're cutting back to Colonel LeBrun telling his side of the story. And I'm going to try and explain this the best I can. So, most convoluted ending explanations. You have Daniel, who is LeBrun's quote unquote grandson or son.
Yes.
So LeBrun met a woman named Florinda. He rented the house to her. He also has a son named Leland who came back from the war injured. He had a metal plate in his head. He fell in love, Leland, with a whore at Florinda's brothel, which LeBrun could not tolerate. So he sends Leland away to psychiatric care. When he gets out, Leland is still insistent on the marriage and asks LeBrun to accept it. He cannot, and especially after, Rose, who is the prostitute in question, got pregnant. In an attempt to not have the baby carry the LeBrun name, he hires 3 guys to kidnap the baby. To do what with the baby, I'm not sure. But then things go awry when they get inside because they just kill everyone. And then I thought they were going to light the baby on fire.
I thought the same thing.
And I was like, whoa, guys, a little extreme.
I don't have like a lot of like hard, like, okay, I don't want to see that in a movie, but I would probably draw a line at a baby being set on fire. That'd be pretty fucked.
Anything that's an infant, like kid deaths in movies at a certain age, I'm like, yes, fine, I'm here for it. But an infant just feels wrong because they are an innocent. They have no recollection or they have no idea where they are in this world at that age. So that just seems fucking very wrong. But I guess
we both had the same thought.
Okay, so I guess these 3 guys take the daughter to Leland, who gives his granddaughter, gives her away, and that daughter or the granddaughter ends up being Lauren. It's just like I sat there and I was like, this is the most complicated explanation. Because when you see Rose at the end of the movie,
they're drawing a family tree.
Yeah, for real. Because Daniel realizes that the man he thought was his grandfather this entire time is not actually his grandfather, which I thought was also strange. Yeah. So when you see Rose at the end of the movie, because they do a little cutback scene where Rose and Leland are together, Rose is played by Lauren. So I'm like, okay. Either Lauren is a ghost or Lauren is the daughter of this bastard child. And that's what it ends up being. So it just hit me and I was like, I don't know if it makes sense. Sure. But I mean, it's not a very direct line. It was not point A to point B. We made some pit stops along the way and kind of jumbled this together. I don't know. I mean, what do you, any thoughts on that ending explanation?
There's just too much. And like, don't get me wrong, I've been there. I've written scripts, man, where like as you're writing it, like, oh yeah, this is all going to be really clear, and you just keep adding details like this happens because this happens, and you get lost in it, and it's too much. It's too much. And I also get it that they were trying to. It felt like they were trying to avoid exposition by showing the events,
right?
But exposition does not have to be a dirty word. Sometimes it is necessary. But it just also really fucked the pacing again, because once again they're just showing this extended sequence of what happened. And I'm like, where are our main characters? I feel like it's been a long time since we've seen any of our main characters because we're still doing this thing. And once again, don't get me wrong, there's some great images, like the images of the good old boys with the fucking shotguns going through that. Like, there's some really interesting cinematography and cool stuff happening in this. But I don't know. The fact that this movie is an hour and 43 minutes long and it felt like an eternity. And I sat for 4.5 hours and watched Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, and it could have sat longer and watched more of it. It's like pacing matters.
Pacing matters. That third act reveal, if you're going to have one, very much matters. And it would have been, and I'm obviously no screenwriter, but it would have just made more sense to slowly uncover what happened along the way. So we're keeping up with the story in real time rather than having this story dumped on us that I lost interest in.
Once again, like The Changeling, like George C. Scott was uncovering information as that movie went on. And especially like that, this feels like that would be proper fodder for this movie, especially because she's going through the house. And but then it's also interesting too that both Lauren and Daniel, played by Michael David Lowry, they're both trying to like uncover things, and they're like, it's like they're not working together necessarily.
They're really not. And there was that weird moment too between them at the end of the movie where Lauren has this dream where they have sex, which I didn't understand the point of. Something that probably
I don't think that was in my version either.
Oh wow, okay, so that's probably why they cut it down to the version that you saw. Yeah, she has this dream where she has sex with Daniel, and then he comes over and gives her a flower because I guess something about he had a similar dream or something. I don't know. I almost thought that they were going to get together, and I'm like, did we just forget about Mark? I mean, I guess we kind of did because he was on his way there.
Mark's a dork. We can forget about Mark.
That's fair. Because he was on his way there and some paranormal shit happens to him, which the rules, they don't really establish clear rules in this movie because people have died at the house. That one guy died in the lake, although they did say in the ending explanation that bodies were, put in the lake. So I guess I can understand that.
The lake death made sense once you got that added context.
But like we had no idea where Mark was when his car died on this dirt road. The radio turns on, his hood shuts closed, and then we never see him again. So is there a radius around this house where these ghosts can kill people? It's very strange because even you didn't see this, I guess, in the car chase because Abner's driving down the road and he hits like 2 ghost women that were part of the brothel. So it's like, what is the radius of this? Can these ghosts just wander wherever? So there really wasn't established rules on exactly.
Right, I gotta check. I'm checking this real time. I need to
go
see
for it.
If it's a car chase or if I just blanked that shit out.
I feel like you and I both like a good car chase. I don't think you would have completely blanked that because it was like it was like 5 minutes, I would say, of a pretty decent car chase. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty decent.
All right, there's the death of the caretaker. There's creepy ass Abner. All right, here's Abner jumping on the hood of their car.
Yep, it's right after that.
All right. Okay, it looks like there was a car chase, but it doesn't look like either it's not as long. Hold on. Okay, that was there. I just apparently blanked it out. Never mind.
Okay.
It's like, honestly, like Abner was like, turned on her, jumped on the car, and it felt like it was going to become quite a bit more rapey at that point. So I just kind of turned my brain off for a second. And
no, that's fair. That's fair.
And then I remember him chasing her in the barn. And I was like, why is this still going on? So, yeah, I apparently just blanked it out.
Yeah.
Sorry, listeners. Sometimes your brain just turns off when you're watching a movie.
That's totally fine because going back to kind of the rapey vibes of this movie, there was a lot of aggression towards women. Obviously, an entire brothel full of women died. But even men towards Lauren are just very aggressive. You had Abner, who was aggressive. Someone else was aggressive.
You had Frank the caretaker.
Yeah, who was also aggressive. The only one that wasn't aggressive that I'm confused as to why he died What, or two, actually. Mark was never aggressive towards her, and her therapist, I can't remember his name, whatever, when he comes to visit her, he falls off the house and gets impaled on like one of the spikes of the house.
Which is one of the best sequences of the movie.
Oh, that was so good. Fun fact, too, I watched an interview with Robin Groves on the Vinegar Syndrome special features, and she, for those long shots, that was actually her up there. They had her secured. Oh, yeah,
That's impressive. Go, Robin Groves.
Well, because she had a chimney to her right that they had her secured to, but everything else that's close up, they built a set on the ground to do. But in the long shot, that is actually her doing it. And she was like, yeah, I guess I was. She's like, I don't really remember doing that. But that is not a stunt double, which I thought was really cool.
That being said, so can we talk about that sequence for a second?
Sure, absolutely.
She winds up on the outside of that house because the floorboards collapse in.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that she couldn't have just gotten back in and just like heaved over those couple floorboards? I guess, okay, let me think about this logically. I feel like the fear would be that like if the floorboards broke when I was standing on it, me jumping on it might break them again. But I feel like I would rather take my chance with that than falling off the house.
Yeah, I did. I had the same thought process. I thought, okay, why are we going?
It didn't feel like a lot broke. Just it was like one thing.
Yeah, it was a very odd choice to go outside at the highest point of the house, and then she just thank God the therapist showed up at that point, because if he didn't, I guess she would have just been stuck up there. It was a very odd choice to go out on that landing up there. I didn't understand that either.
I feel bad for that therapist though. He didn't even want to come that weekend.
Right.
He's like, she essentially strong-armed him into doing it, and then he died. And I don't think she felt any remorse.
Yeah, she the only time I saw her feel any remorse is that she got a phone call at one point, and Mark calls her and she's like, how are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just awful. But that's it. She doesn't say because of the death of this guy. But I found it
kind of on my hands.
Fully on your hands, because you
I don't want to point fingers, but yeah,
it's kind of on her hands as she forced him to come out there. I mean, I guess I get her logic, because she's like 7 years at this much money is like $27,000. Yeah, I get it, but yeah, you did kind of at
the same time, it's like you were paying for that time, not to be on their beck and call.
That's true.
Like I used to work in a behavioral health office, and I would talk to the therapist, and he's like, I always tell these people, if you want to talk, make an appointment. I am not here for you to call whenever you need me.
That's
make
fair.
an appointment.
Yeah, I'm not here 24/7.
You got to have work-life balance, man. We don't know what maybe that guy was going to go see a movie. Like maybe he was going to go see whatever horror movie that came out that weekend. Now he never got a chance to see it because he's got a fucking weather vane through his eye.
Yeah, I get why the house killed the men that were aggressive, but the guys that were, he's actively trying to help Lauren get back in the house. So I guess I just don't.
The only thing I can think of is if it's just killing all men because men are trash and men are reason all these women died.
And that's what I think, honestly, outside of the fear of the young, because I think there's a few like fears in this movie that I wanted to touch on. One is obviously the fear of men, that women, men,
and almost every man in this movie proves that.
Exactly. Like every single man proves that point where women have to be so protective of themselves from a strange man that they don't know. And that's a fear that I don't have, and I couldn't imagine living with that fear every day, because it's gotta be just overwhelming to deal with. So outside of the fear of kind of like men, I think it's crazy, because like the brain is very interesting, and how it can completely mess up your day by, you know, she's agoraphobic. She turns out to be agoraphobic, and how the power of the mind is just fascinating to me, that you can be okay one day and then something happens and now I'm afraid to go outside. And apparently, you know, according to this therapist in the movie, that's something that, you know, something can actually trigger agoraphobia. It's not like you're just born with it. So that's another kind of like the fear of the mind and the capability that it has and the power over you. Sometimes you don't even feel like you're in control. I find that horrifying. I mean, there's many times where you just have a thought pop in your head and you're like, what was that thought? Like, I don't like that at all. But another core fear, of course, for this movie is, you know, the ghosts and the fear of the unknown and the fear of discovering. I mean, I don't know if she was trying to discover her past there, but she did discover, you know, what actually happened to her. Wait, did she? Hold on. Did she actually get explained that she was the daughter? Because we hear it from LeBron, but does she know that? I can't remember, and I just finished this fucking movie.
Well, she's talking to Florinda.
Yeah.
Does Florinda? I imagine, and this is me, you know, rewriting the movie maybe a little bit. I imagine, as LeBron is explaining the story to Daniel, I imagine Florinda is explaining the same story to her.
Okay, yeah. I had so tuned out at that point because after the explanation, I was like, all right, well, the movies, I did the display and I was like, there's 5 minutes left. I'm checking out. Because also then a car runs through the house gets lit on fire.
That was pretty cool, though. I'm not gonna lie, the car coming through the house.
Right, there was so many cool shots. The shot of the random floating crib that flies out the window. I was like, what are we doing?
Out the window. That was so fucking funny.
And there's actually some really,
because it was not a clean exit either.
It was, yeah. And there's some other cool imagery when the caretaker, I think his name was Frank. Yeah. When he starts to be aggressive towards Lauren, he gets like lifted up in the air and all this fun like thrown around. There was a lot of cool ideas happening in the movie for sure, but it's just kind of a cohesive mess that doesn't really fit together as well as I wanted it to.
It's like, I almost want to like, I say this, but I know I'm not actually going to do it. I would love to take the extended cut of this film and see if I can re-edit it to be shorter and a little more coherent.
Right. Exactly. I think that could benefit. It's like some movies, you're like, this movie, there is like a masterpiece hidden in this movie, but the way that they put it together is not helping the story.
All the elements are there.
Right.
And to the point that I can actually see myself rewatching this just because it is similar to a lot of films that I like. Things like, once again, My Beloved the Changeling, or Let's Get Jessica to Death. You know, these low budget, late 70s, early 80s kind of haunted house jams. Because like, let's also be real. I'm on my podcast, I'm big on granted we haven't actually been all that negative throughout this. We've been pretty complimentary, but like, I like to give credit where credit's due.
Of course.
This one thing that this film does very well is it is a haunted house film that does not feel like haunted house films that we get anymore.
Exactly. I
feel like every haunted house film nowadays, and this is me also putting films in a box, and I know there's going to be exceptions to the rule because there always are. Every haunted house film nowadays feels like it is pulling from, to some extent, and this is just stylistically, not in form, maybe a little bit The Shining, but it's pulling a lot from Amityville Horror. It's pulling a lot from Poltergeist.
I was going to say Poltergeist is the biggest influence in my opinion.
And James Wan really ran with that when he made The Conjuring.
Yeah.
But now every film is just kind of feels like they're all pulling from the same inspirations, which actually now we're at this point where films are pulling inspiration from The Conjuring, so which is pulling inspirations from older films. So then it's just like it's getting a little saccharine. Actually, saccharine's not the right word. It's getting a little boring. But like we don't get these kind of messy, weird haunted house films anymore.
You're right. It pulls from a lot, but it also feels unique in its own way. Because, I mean, I don't think I'll ever see another haunted house movie that centers around a brothel. Do they exist?
Girl on the third floor.
Huh?
It's a girl on the third floor.
Oh, okay. Fair.
But that's me just being kind of a jerk. But no, realistically, it's not a setting that's used very often.
Right.
Up until this, I only could think of girl on the third floor. So like, it's prime for picking. It is a good location.
Yeah, it's got a great location. And I will give Vinegar Syndrome props. They always do great on their scans, but this was the first few minutes. I was like, this is gonna it looked fantastic. It was a very good scan. So the movie looks good. It sounds good. I do enjoy the score when there is a score. I think the cinematography is very well done. It really just the biggest issue I have is the story and the pacing. But that's okay. It's not every movie we're going to like. And I'm not expecting to like every aspect of every movie, but I obviously I want to highlight the things I do like.
Absolutely.
Something that I wanted to read you that I found interesting, because with the Vinegar Syndrome release, we got this little book right here.
I love a release that comes with a book.
And I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's way too long, but there was something I wanted to highlight that stood out to me about the time period and when this was set. So this is an excerpt from... Her name is Amanda Reyes. She wrote Nightmares in the... Oh, you know her?
Oh, I don't know her person. I just love her work.
Okay, so this is called Nightmares in the Dream House, looking back at the 1981 horror film The Nesting by Amanda Reyes, and I'm going to read you this little excerpt that I found interesting. So, in some ways, The Nesting is a haunted house story in the most classic sense. The structure is run down. It holds secrets. There are ghosts. But it is also firmly established in the female Gothic movement of the 1970s, where the most common tropes, dilapidated buildings, specters, etc., are used to explore the more potent themes of the female experience of the era. The female Gothic movement of the 70s arose from the writings of a literary scholar named Ellen Moores, who moved the studies of Gothic literature from the works of writers like Edgar Allan Poe and Charles Brockden Brown to analyze how authors such as Anne Radcliffe and Mary Shelley used the heavily defined tropes as coded text to recount the unease women feel when moving about the world. According to Martha O'Moore's essay, Feminist Gothic, Moores, quote, focused on the entrapment theme of women's Gothic writing, suggesting that women felt imprisoned within their own bodies, end quote. Therefore, ruined castles, family secrets, and female hysteria as written by women is a way to examine a different kind of subtext in the genre and to explore the resistance against it. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. And that's the reason I love when places like Vinegar Syndrome like give these booklets and these interviews. And I think we've all seen on enough physical media pages that even though people love physical media, not everyone cares about this stuff.
Yeah.
But like something like that's some amazing context, and it would make me want to completely go and revisit this film.
Yeah, and that is a small... I mean, this thing is probably 12 pages. It is an incredible article that kind of put the movie in perspective for me just a little bit more, given I don't know too much about... Like, really, my horror knowledge starts in the 80s. Like, 70s are a little hit or miss, and then beyond that, it's very hit or miss. So, reading...
I'm a big 70s horror guy.
And the stuff I've watched in the 70s, like I still like this weekend. Actually, I'm gonna watch Sunday. I'm gonna watch Let's Scare Jessica to Death because I have the Vinegar Syndrome release of that, and it was almost a selection for this one. But I wanted the deep cut to be something that really I had literally never heard of, because I had heard about Let's Scare Jessica to Death a while ago. So I find it interesting. I love Vinegar Syndrome when they do stuff. I'm also trying, since I have physical copies of all the movies I'm reviewing this year, trying to watch commentaries or interviews. There are so many special features on Vinegar Syndrome's 4K. They have interviews with a whole bunch of people. They've got commentary.
Can I recommend one on here? So I don't have the disc, but I'm looking at the list of everything.
Oh yeah. What do you got?
The Sating of Desire. It's an appreciation piece by author Stephen Thrower. Okay. Stephen Thrower is one of my favorite writers about genre film.
Oh, okay.
He wrote this amazing book called Nightmare USA that I've been trying to get for a good price forever. So it's about a 30-minute appreciation piece, but if anyone's going to make you be like, okay, I need to go back and rewatch that,
okay, that
would be it. And then there's also a piece on here about the film preservation, about how they, see, I'm just looking at the special features. I need to buy this just because, there's some great shit on here.
Yeah, it's a very extensive, features that were done specifically for this release, which is incredible. So I definitely recommend going to check that out. I don't really have much else to say about this one. I think we've kind of nailed everything we liked, that we didn't like. I did have a better tagline for this movie that I'll say when I get to the taglines that I think you'll really enjoy. I came up with a pretty good one. But other than that, I think I've kind of tapped out on what I had to say. Is there anything that you would like to mention that we didn't get to yet?
No, I think we kind of we hit all the important stuff, and even though I apparently blanked out an entire sequence of this film, I feel like I was still pretty coherent to be able to talk about it. I was a little worried when we started. I was like, I don't know how Austin felt about it, but am I going to have enough to say?
Yeah, I try to take as many notes, but like I told everyone at the beginning of the year, we're just going to kind of let the conversation go. We're just over an hour. That's enough time for me. So, with that being said, we shall move on to the final cut. This is the post-review stuff here. So here we go. Right away, tagline's perfect. There are a few good ones, but I like the one I came up with better. So there was only one thing more terrifying than leaving the house, ... staying in it. A house that lives and breathes terror. The terror that hides inside your mind. And what's outside brings terror. What's inside means death. I personally like The Night She Came Home, but that's just me.
Can I pitch one?
Oh, yes. Yes. What do you got?
Terror needs a new coat of paint.
Man, that house was dilapidated. Fresh coat of paint would do that some good.
Fresh coat of horror.
Fresh coat of horror. So there's 3 really boring trivia facts about this movie that I thought I would share.
I love a boring trivia fact.
There's only 3. There was 3 total. So this is
fair. This is not a movie that probably that Vinegar Syndrome disc is going to be the most comprehensive like view of this movie.
100%. So that's another thing that kind of reassured me that this is indeed a deep cut if there's 3 bits of trivia and they suck. This is the final film of Gloria Graham. This is on the Section 3 video nasties list. And at 48 minutes, there's a shot of a book whose cover is partially hidden by a knife. It's, quote, A House Possessed by Charity Blackstock. Don't know really what that's supposed to mean, but there you go. There wasn't even a goofs section for this movie. That's like...
Because the movie is a goof.
The movie itself is a goof. So we have rated 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb. For our purposes of the Fear Index, that is a 2.45 out of 5. And then we have a 2.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. This doesn't even have a critic rating on the tomato meter. Again, furthering my deep cut selection here, but it does have a 31% audience score. So what did you give this, Michael?
So originally I gave this movie a 2, which in my rating system is I didn't really like it, but there's some interesting things.
Okay.
But after I sat with it a little bit more, I actually did boost up to a 2.5, which I know is not a huge change in distinction, but as I sat with it, I was like, okay, this wasn't bad. And the fact that I do want to go back to it is I feel like kind of what made that score go up.
Okay, so 2.5 for you. I ended up giving it a 3 because I did enjoy a lot of it. It's just they biffed the ending and the pacing was a little mixed. So I gave it 3. So that is going to give us a score of a 2.67 out of 5 on the Nightmare Index. So that is going to fall below The Haunting, of course, because The Haunting had like a 3.63. Similar movies according to IMDb, we have Murder Rock. We have Virus, Let's Scare Jessica to Death, Wolfpack, and Midnight Spares. Similar movies according to Letterboxd. I love this because this was not intentional, but we have The Changeling, The Haunting 1999, The Haunting 1963, which we just did, The Legend of Hell House, and The Woman in Black.
Legend of Hell House, that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that one in a while.
That's a one that I own and still need to watch this month since, the theme is haunted houses. I'm going to be filling a lot of my time with haunted house movies.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing The Changeling. I need to get that. They have a 4K Severin, right? Or yes. Synapse? Yeah, okay. I'm going to buy that.
No, it's Severin, and that thing is a beaut.
Okay, then I'm going to go buy that. Let's do some funny reviews here. I've come stocked, locked, and loaded with my standard 5.
I can find 5.
All right, then I shall start here. 1.5 stars from Justin Martell. It's like Spookies without any spookies.
All right, this one is a 2.5 stars with a heart from Horror Syndrome.
Okay.
Never going to a haunted horror house ever again.
Oh, that's funny because that kind of lines up with this one that I have. 3 stars from Robert2339. Now searching Airbnb to see if I can book a stay in a haunted brothel.
All right. Next one. I got half star. This is a movie. Oh, sorry. It's half star by Rowan. This is a movie for high people, and we were sober.
Damn. 2 stars from Brent Disney. I sort of understand why everyone wants to kill Laura. It's just fucked up.
All right. This is 1 star by Cartrez or Cartrese. A haunted brothel would do numbers during Halloween season.
They're not wrong. That's very accurate. 3 stars from Boofy. It's waffly, but the waffles do have some good chunks of haunted butter.
All right, so this is 1 star by Nicole Degelman. Got this recommended by a tour guide for this house. The only thing holding this movie together was I got to info dump about the folding sink in one of the bathrooms.
Love it. And lastly, from me, 3.5 stars from Cathode Rituals. K. Did you guys know that the cure to agoraphobia is astral projection and renting a weird old house?
I do now.
Apparently you do now.
All right. All of mine have been 1-star reviews, but my last one's also a 1-star review by Miriam Story 8. It says, I was really hoping they'd kill Mark, but as the great philosopher Mick Jagger once said, you can't always get what you want.
You can't? Oh, did they not kill Mark?
No.
Oh, I thought they did. I mean, he has the paranormal experience, and then he fucks off for the rest of the movie. So, All right. Well, if you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Slasher, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Frightmares Podcast. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. You can follow me personally on Letterboxd at Dr. Proctor. Michael, you are on Letterboxd.
Yep, I'm there as Vyers10 2008. You can also find the sultry sounds of my voice on my podcast, The Shameless Picture Show. We are currently on a little hiatus. Austin is our talented editor, but we're going to be recording an episode here in about a week's time.
Live.
Austin's coming to Wisconsin, so we're going to record an episode on I'm going to just spoil it, Hudsucker Proxy, which is going to be a fun time, and I'm going to take Austin to the most beautiful theater in all of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to see 2 really rad movies, or at least hopefully they're rad.
I don't imagine Park Chan-wook or Woon. Yeah,
I always hear it was Wook.
I can't imagine. It's got a 4.2. I mean, it's going to be real hard for me not to like that. But we are also seeing something and the what of Ann Lee?
I think it's the Ballad
Testament of Ann Lee.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. It is the Testament of Ann Lee
in 70 fucking millimeter, which has been it's a literal bucket list item for me. We just don't have that in Florida, so I'm very excited. So definitely go check out that episode. We're going to be in the same room recording a podcast. We had to capture that moment in time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So obviously be sure to check out Michael's show, The Shameless Picture Show, to expand your movie watching podcast, the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club, and 1 Week Rental as well. Next week for our modern pick, we're going to be doing Deadstream, Corey and I, from 2022. So until then, stay tuned and stay spooky.